does he really have a leg to stand on? Because when he has been giving chances, I suppose Chelsea fans are still saying that they've expected a bit more from him. This, Captain America that everyone has been talking about, the USA's quote-unquote Leo Messi. We've heard that, comparison so many times. And, I remember speaking to Greg Berhalter earlier on this year at the FIFA World Cup draw in Qatar, and we spoke about the anxiety and sort of pressure that Pulisic has felt, in being this leader of the USA's team, as well as even trying to step up for Chelsea. And he's still so young, and he's still kind of dealing with it, so to speak. So I think he was taken off to sort of shield him from some of the questions that were coming their way, because he definitely, since his quotes about his situation under Thomas Tuchel and those Champions League matches where he expected to have a lot more playing time, came out. I think a lot of them have had him in the firing line, but since then, everyone has continued talking about it. But for the most part, Greg Berhalter said that he is focused. He's just focused on the game tomorrow. He knows his role. He knows his leadership in this team. So for now, it seems so good, and it doesn't seem to be at least 100% getting to him.
Well, let's talk about that game tomorrow in a little more detail, Alexis. Of course, one of the big question marks going into the World Cup in November is who is going to be the #1 goalkeeper for the US. We know that Zach Steffen, of course, won't feature in that clash against Japan. So it will be Matt Turner who's starting.
And that's exactly what we're hearing. And it's such an interesting situation for the USA to have. We were talking to all of the journalists that were there today. And, when you come for a USA team in at least the last 2 decades, one position that has always been easy to pick, whether it has been our friend Casey Keller or Tim Howard, or Brad Gustin, any one of them, it has been the goalkeeper, and now they've kind of been stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you want to solidify that decision. And of course, we get the feeling that Zach Steffen is definitely going to be the preferred goalkeeper. He's going to be the #1. But then when you look at his recent stats, he didn't 100% impress in his stints at Manchester City. Now he's on loan at Middlesbrough, but even then he's had 6 appearances for Middlesbrough and let in 9 goals, and then he's been out for 4 matches with a knee injury. So they're wondering, do you bank on him based on this? And a lot of people questioning, where he's playing right now. And then, of course, you have Matt Turner, who has impressed so far in the summer when he's filled in for the USA. But then he's only had 1 appearance in his Arsenal shirt. So do you go into a World Cup where you have a group with the likes of Gareth Bale and Wales and, of course, England, and you have that big match against England coming up, and you're hoping people like Zach Steffen is used to playing against a lot of these England players, but then Matt not necessarily having that much experience? It's like, who do you go with? So it's a very tricky position that the USA find themselves in, because they look almost spoiled for choice in every other decision. And, even Greg Berhalter says that it does give him a headache at night choosing all his attacking players as well. But in goalkeeping, it really has everyone scratching their head. But it looks like it will be Matt Turner tomorrow for Japan.
I'm not going to ask you how big a problem it is, Shaq, because it is a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
What's the issue with not playing? Or where does it affect the goalkeeper the most?
You miss out on your match sharpness, not just in terms of your reaction and just kind of general game play, but in terms of reading the game, in terms of anticipating, and just finding that focus. And as Alexis points out, so many of the goalkeepers who you thought were equipped to serve the US in a World Cup have not played, or have not played that well. And now Berhalter has a huge issue on his hands. For me, and Alexis mentioned them, the two most talented American goalkeepers are Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. Steffen having his struggles, Matt Turner not playing. Ethan Horvath, who's also filled in, he's been getting minutes, albeit, but with Luton, mid-table championship Luton. Is Sean Johnson the option? And nothing really jumps out. And Alexis is right to point out that the one department the US has always been consistently well represented in is between the sticks.
Sure.
And yes, you always had big shoes to fill. Once Tim Howard hung up his own gloves. And you wanted to feel that Zach Steffen or Matt Turner could have done that. But they needed to have significant minutes. And now they're not. Interestingly enough, I went back to look at US last appearance at a World Cup, 2014. Tim Howard's last performance at the World Cup level was that game against Belgium.
Where he made a million saves.
He rewrote all kinds of records. And now, in the US national team's first appearance since that, you have absolutely no idea.
No.
How do you follow that on? You know, how do you go from that to where we are now, some 8.5 years later?
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.